Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sabrina Dhami with your 13 Now update on this Monday, January 22nd. We have some big developments in the driveway shooting trial just one day before closing arguments are set to begin. Mark Monahan is here in the 13 Now studio. Mark, you've been covering this trial every step of the way, and you have this breaking news first on 13.
Yeah, Sabrina, good afternoon. There was a filing made by the defense just today. Again, the defense of Kevin Monahan, as they're hired to do, looking for the best possible outcome. And part of that is helping or trying to influence what the jury will get to consider once they begin deliberating. They're arguing that the jury is allowed to consider a lesser included charge, not just murder in the second degree, but manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. This is the new filing today where the defense asks for criminally negligent homicide to be considered by the jury. Why is this important? Well, criminally negligent homicide carries a maximum sentence of 1 1/3 to 4 years in state prison. Murder in the second degree carries a maximum sentence of 25 years to life in prison. So the defense today in their filing lays out their argument why criminally negligent homicide should be included. Primary to that is Kevin Monahan's testimony on Friday. He testified that this was an accident, that he tripped and fell. The filing says Mr. Monahan described stumbling on the deck, and in the process of trying to stop his fall, the shotgun struck either a vertical post or the horizontal railing which goes around his deck. His finger was not on the trigger. Again, that this was a purely an accidental firing. So they laid out all of this in a several-page document this morning, describing that this was uncontroverted, that Kevin Monahan laid out exactly what happened that night. No one else, they say, saw what happened that night, and the prosecution didn't challenge any of this. So therefore, it's possible that this, in fact, was the case, that Monahan slipped and fell, or didn't fall, but jostled the gun a bit, causing it to go off. It continues. The people failed to present any testimony or other evidence which could have contradicted Mr. Monahan's description of how that second shot, which we now know was the fatal shot, was fired. So they go to great lengths here to try to show that this was more accidental, more negligent than depraved indifference. It will be up to the judge to decide whether that lesser included criminally negligent homicide will be considered by the jury. Judge Adam Michelini will likely rule on that he certainly will rule before the jury is charged after the closing arguments are completed. It also continues, the people failed to present a different version when they crossed Mr. Monahan, when they presented questions to him on cross-examination. They failed to present any rebuttal witnesses. So that's what's laid out in this filing. And I've just gotten my hands on the prosecution's reply to the defense's motion, and we'll have the latest on that coming up live at 4.
These major developments just coming in, Mark, at the very last minute. Is it surprising for this to happen at the time that it's happening?
The defense's job, as I mentioned at the outset here, is to get the best possible outcome for the defendant. So they have telegraphed this to some extent for several months now, that they're looking to get lesser included charges. But this is the first time since the trial started, certainly, where they've raised this, and they've apparently feel strongly enough about it that they wanted to remind the judge how strongly they feel about it, asking him to rule on this before he charges the jury.
This breaking news just coming in, and Mark, as you said, you just got the response, so you're going to be going through that. So thank you very much, Mark, for filling us in here on 13 Now, and we'll, of course, get the latest from you starting live at 4.
We'll see you then.
Let us bring in Chief Meteorologist Paul Cano now and get a check on the first. Paulie, there you are.
Hey, I saw myself and not you. And then when I didn't see you, I couldn't hear you. So
there we go. We got your camera up. All right. So we're looking at the chance for possibly an alert day tomorrow.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of those alert days if we do, in fact, issue it. And I'm thinking we're leaning in that direction starting at 4 o'clock for tomorrow, that it's a timing issue. I think we're going to get a little light snow around here in time for the evening commute tomorrow. So it's probably not going to add up a lot, but could slow things down. And again, this is one of those situations where we just want you to be prepared for something different than you may normally encounter. Like, it's going to be different tomorrow evening for the commute home than it is today when it's going to be dry. So
let's start with the bitter cold, I guess, that we've had, over the weekend. And it finally feels like a little break in a sense today, even though it's, as we see in this camera here, it's in the 20s, but it feels like a break after what we've had over the weekend.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, right? If it was 29 and we'd been in the 40s all week, we'd say it was cold out, but
Right.
29 is actually feeling kind of balmy, right? Certainly loosening that grip that we had, that Arctic cold had on us over the weekend. So as that milder air pushes itself in, just as this is meteorology 101, a function of meteorology is it generates clouds. You see that here, and precipitation. So 29 in Schenectady, but dry right now at that overcast sky. 30 in Kinderhook. Albany's 28. So it is a cold afternoon. You're starting to see thicker clouds head in. See those snow showers out toward Buffalo and Rochester? Most of that's aloft. And I think as that approaches, we could see a couple flurries out of it, but most of it will dry out as it falls through the sky. And here at ground level, we'll see very little, if anything, tonight. But we are going to get the thicker clouds, and I do think a stronger push of moisture will head our way. Let's time it out here. Notice through the rest of the afternoon, we get those thicker clouds. Overnight tonight, it stays cloudy, but notice nothing in terms of steady precip until about lunchtime tomorrow or shortly after. That's when we're going to start to see the steadiest light snow move in, 1:30, 2 o'clock. And you think about it, that's what time school lets out. Is this going to come down heavily and start to add up? Not really, but we could coat the ground with temperatures around 32, 33 degrees. It may get a little sloppy. It may get a little snow covered for the rest of the afternoon. Notice steady snow right through 5 o'clock. It'll be on the light side, but a quick inch, maybe 2 in some spots, not out of the question by the time we hit the commute home. So that's probably why we're leaning more toward an alert day for tomorrow, not for the amount of snow, but for the timing of a little snow during the ride home. Notice the hour-by-hour forecast shows things sort of tapering off overnight. And then as even milder air comes in here, we're talking about highs near 40 on Wednesday. We're talking about a mix of some light rain and snow showers, but that's really about it. So it does look like the threat period for this coating up to a couple of inches of snow will be during the afternoon and for the evening drive tomorrow. Notice a little bit more in the North Country where it stays snow for longer. But again, temperatures edging up, perhaps above freezing by a degree or two this afternoon, back down to the 20s tonight. The 7-day planner will show a stronger push of milder air later in the week. So a little messy Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, then some rain showers coming through as we approach the high 40s to around 50. So we're going back to what we saw in December and the first part of January when temperatures were so very much above normal, Sabrina. And really that Arctic cold, let's say it's a solid week of it around here, but doesn't look like it's going to last much longer.
For this, I guess, storms, messy weather that's coming our way for tomorrow. Again, it's the timing of it, not necessarily the quantity, but just school letting out, people heading home from work. The roads could be pretty slick.
Yeah, a little bit disruptive. I really don't think, like the last storm we had where we had a bad timing issue for the ride home, it was 21 degrees. Remember what I was saying? Salt doesn't work as well when it's 20, 21, 22. But when it's 32, 33, and you throw some salt down, then you get that coating of snow. Then you're talking about being more wet or a little slushy than snow covered and really slow. So I do think there'll be some travel issues tomorrow afternoon. I think things will be a little slower than usual. I'm not anticipating a major problem, but it's just that few hours between, let's say, roughly 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m. when most folks are on the road that this will be happening.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. We will see you on air starting live at 4.
See you then.
That's your 13 Now update on this Monday, January 22nd, as we kick off this new work week. While the very latest starting live at 4 on News Channel 13. I'm Sabrina Dami.